So here we are in Sweden. Started our trip off in Stockholm. Um, we pretty much just explored the city, went through the gardens, through the parks. There was a food festival that we all had a lot of fun at. Tried a lot of different Swedish foods and other weird things. Then we walked through the old town, saw this is the smallest alley in Stockholm. There's us with our cousin Stina, and we visited the Vasa ship, which is this really old ship that basically sunk after it left the harbor. It was supposed to be really big and important, but it never really made it out of the harbor. This is the palace. It's just very exciting. We stayed with our cousins Stina and Anders and their new baby Iris out in the country. Explored the archipelago an afternoon, which is this set of pictures. It's absolutely amazing. It's more amazing than you could ever imagine. It makes you want to move there. All of the houses are, self-contained and on little tiny islands. There's over 30,000 islands in the archipelago. This is Iris. She's 15 months old. She's absolutely adorable. Enjoyed our time with her, and after our time with them, we came up here to Dalarna, where we are now, and we visited the Dala horse factory. And this is basically just the making of the horses. They start with cutting them in the, I guess just the basic jigsaw, and then from the jigsaw they get sent over to the other side where the legs are put into it, and then from the legs they're sent over to this guy where they are kind of lightly shaped a bit more, and he does it in, like, as you can see, like 3 seconds, really fast. And once they're done being shaped, they're sent over to the old guys who carve them. Definitely not as easy as it looked. John and I spent the morning trying to carve them. I had the luxury of splitting my hand open with the knife, which is much sharper than it looks. But pretty much once it's done being shaped, it goes to a primer and then goes to a painter, and the painter spends the afternoon, or well, for her it takes her like 3 minutes to paint these things, but it would take me an entire day probably. But it's a really special old Swedish way of painting things. So as you can see, it's just kind of, we kind of miss the really cool part, but they like feather on the paint, and then they add the little dips and the dots, and it's really cool to watch. But once she gets all done, then it goes to her big pile of stuff, and we get to buy them in America and everywhere else that they sell them, like every other store in Sweden pretty much. But yeah, so far our trip has been pretty good. Not a lot of exciting things except cutting my hand open. We went to the Santa Claus village this afternoon after our morning at the horse factory. Oh, and there's me with my blood all over my horse. And there's my knife. The poor old man just laughed at me. But that's Sweden so far, and we'll see you soon.